ESG as practiced today, as it has come to be practiced in most places, has become too degraded to be useful. So my role, as the co-developer of Next Economics, what I'd like to do for you guys in the next 5 minutes ish before the discussion is develop a framework from there, from Erica's starting point, and make 3 points. First, why this failure is structural and not just a matter of bad data, as Erica mentioned. Second, what an investment discipline designed for the next economy actually looks like. And then third, why Next Economics isn't just one option among many, or something like it, something aimed at a regenerative economy, is the only long-term investment path that doesn't mathematically end in self-termination. As grandiose as that may sound, I think it's true. Let me start with a couple of concrete examples of the structural problem to my first point. MSCI ESG, the most widely subscribed to ESG rating service in the world, gives Chevron, whose entire business model depends on accelerating the climate crisis and whose externalities contribute to at least 10 million premature deaths every year, it gives them an A ESG rating. Meanwhile, Moderna, whose core purpose is saving and prolonging human life, earns a triple B. Folks, this isn't a bug in the ratings. This is exactly what Erica was talking about. This is the system working as designed, and it tells us everything we need to know about why ESG, as practiced, has become a dangerous distraction from the real work of building a sustainable economy. When your analytical framework rewards companies driving ecological collapse and penalizes those solving global crises, you're not looking at a measurement problem. You're looking at a framework failure. So that's where I want to draw the line. So to make that concrete, an ESG questionnaire might ask, well, does a beverage company manage its water risk? Well, Next Economics will ask, is this company's business model compatible with a water scarce future? ESG may ask, does this fossil fuel company have a good community relations team? Next Economics will ask, well, why would we spend any time analyzing the stranded asset whose core product drives the crisis in the first place? The difference between these things isn't subtle. ESG, here's the fundamental problem. ESG accepts the current economy as given and looks for marginal improvement within it. Next economy investing recognizes that the current economy is the source of systemic risk and invests in what replaces it. This is just to further develop everything Erica was saying. So this is why we built the Next Economy framework at Green Alpha in the first place. It rests on 3 principles. First, you've got to start with scientific imperatives, not inherited paradigms about market benchmarks. Portfolios have to be compatible with a livable post-scarcity world, not simply less bad than a polluting index. Second, you've got to focus on solutions, not just risk. Solutions-oriented investing is risk management. So we might ask, does the company's core product or service solve an environmental or social crisis? This shifts our mindset away from ESG and from doing less harm to creating a genuine generative value. And third, differentiate generative from extractive value. The old economy extracts value by depleting finite resources. The next economy generates value through innovation, circularity, human ingenuity. We like to invest in the latter, which we believe is the only path to long-term resilient returns. Okay, now I want to name something that I think this conversation dances around too much. Next economy investing isn't, in my view, one option among many. It's the long-term investment path available that doesn't self-terminate. And I include indexing in that. Ultimately, these strategies result in economy-wide value degradation. Put plainly, every investment philosophy that finances systemic degradation is ultimately self-terminating. Think about what an index fund actually does. It allocates your capital proportionately across the existing economy, which means the larger a company is, the more of your money it gets. And regardless of whether that company is building the future or destroying the conditions for the future, a passive allocation to the S&P 500 isn't a neutral act. It's a decision to fund the current production function, including the parts of it that are actively degrading the climate, the resource base, and the social contract on which all asset values ultimately depend. So today's asset allocation is, of course, tomorrow's production function. That's not a slogan. It's just a tautology. It's an accounting identity, right? Every dollar allocated to a fossil fuel company now is a dollar that builds tomorrow's stranded infrastructure. Every dollar passively indexed to an extractive economy is a dollar voting for the continuation of that economy. And if that economy is systematically destroying its own operating conditions, which the science is pretty much unambiguous about, than the portfolio that finds it is destroying its own asset base. So that's what I mean by self-termination. It's not a moral judgment, it's just a mathematical judgment. And so the only way out of that trap is to actively allocate capital towards the companies and technologies that expand the economy's capacity for future making. So what? Clean energy, advanced therapeutics, sustainable agriculture, circular resource models, the physical infrastructure of a post-scarcity world, decarbonization, dematerialization, electrification. It's not aspirational. It's the only portfolio construction methodology that doesn't contain the seeds of its own destruction. So just, Lori, to conclude, I realize that was 6 minutes. I had a clock on. If I were to conclude with one sentence, it would be that, we're not interested in finding the best governed fossil fuels company. We're interested in the systems that make fossil fuels obsolete, because those are the only systems with a future